Every time your phone lights up with a notification, a piece of office drama, or a critical comment, you are faced with a choice. Most people instinctively react. They fire back a text, they explain their position, or they try to defend their reputation. In that moment, a piece of their power is handed over to whatever triggered them. There is a common assumption that engaging in every conflict or meticulously explaining yourself is a sign of strength. We are told that being the loudest or having the last word proves intelligence. But attention functions like a finite currency. Every second spent crafting a comeback or worrying about a hater is an investment of emotional bandwidth. Like any investment, it has to be judged by what it returns. Toxic individuals and energy parasites thrive on this. They demand your focus, your anger, and your time, but they offer nothing that makes your life better or your goals easier to reach. When you operate on this reactive autopilot, you are essentially a puppet. Your mood, your focus, and your energy levels are no longer under your control. They belong to anyone who knows which buttons to push. The majority of people live in a state of constant broadcast. They overshare their plans and seek validation for their every move, making their internal stability dependent on how the crowd responds. Strategic indifference flips this dynamic. It is a discipline of silence and restraint, where you choose exactly who gets access to your presence. You stop being a source of free energy for the world to tap into. While most people scatter their focus across dozens of trivial triggers, the powerful individual filters out the noise. They absorb information from the environment without letting it dictate their internal state, and then channel their entire capacity into a single productive direction. Human psychology is built on a need for closure. We expect a response to every action. We need a provocation with absolute, unyielding silence. You deny the other person that resolution. You leave them in a vacuum, forcing their mind to work overtime, trying to figure out why you aren't reacting. Responding to an attack validates the attacker. It signals that their words were heavy enough to move you. By offering nothing, the power shifts. They are left talking to themselves while you remain unbothered. This doesn't mean disappearing. Strategic withdrawal is about being physically present while remaining emotionally unpredictable. You engage only when it serves your goals, and you pull back when it doesn't. Making your availability rare creates a sense of scarcity. When your response isn't guaranteed, its value increases. People stop viewing you as a backup plan and start treating your attention as something that must be earned. This silence is a psychological lever. It can destroy an opponent's confidence more effectively than an insult because it leaves them to be defeated by their own overthinking. Certain people represent a permanent drain: enemies, critics, and energy parasites. Trying to fix them deepens the connection, paying them with your mental peace. The most effective response is to quietly erase their access. Stop responding and let them become invisible. This requires an internal armor. Identify your own emotional triggers, like the need to be understood, and realize those are the very openings people use to control you. Developing this armor means letting go of the comfort of being liked by everyone. It requires the discipline to let someone be wrong about you without feeling the urge to correct them. Protecting your energy isn't about being cold, it's about survival. By refusing to let the unworthy dictate your internal state, you maintain total control over your focus. When you are no longer distracted by every petty conflict, you can employ calculated inaction. This is the choice to do nothing and let a situation resolve itself while you hoard your energy for what actually matters. If someone spreads a rumor, the instinct to fight back is often what keeps the story alive. If you remain silent and continue producing undeniable results, the truth eventually becomes the only thing left standing. This applies to competition as well. When you ignore those trying to copy you, you force them to burn their own energy watching your moves. You create distance, not by racing them, but by refusing to acknowledge they are even in the game. This withdrawal makes your presence more impactful. When you aren't constantly available or shouting for attention, people become fascinated by your silence. Your absence becomes a statement in itself. Eventually, you shift the social balance. You dominate the arena by being the only person who doesn't need to prove their worth to everyone in the room. Once you have successfully filtered out the external noise, Your own inner voice becomes the primary signal. When you stop looking to others for validation, you develop a certainty that isn't based on consensus, but on your own mission. This mindset is built by killing the need for permission. You start to speak with authority because you've silenced the critics, and you move with a focus that comes from having destroyed internal doubt. You reach a state where external feedback no longer alters your internal trajectory. When you don't rely on the approval of others to define your value, you become impossible to manipulate. Stop trying to negotiate with toxic environments. Use this strategic clarity to outwit them. Instead of trying to fix people who thrive on chaos, stand above them. By mastering these principles of silence and focus, you stop being a reactive participant in other people's games. You become the architect of your own reality, moving through the world entirely on your own terms.